Today we'll discuss about Invoke Workflow File activity. See, observe this one. Before going to this activity, just I want to discuss about functions concept in C language. Okay. See, you know about that functions concept. Observe this one. See, once if you have a thousands of lines of program, okay, but if you implement that entire the program uh, in a in a once if you implement that entire the program, so uh, in one thousands of lines if you implement in a one main program, so at the time of execution you will get an issues. Okay, see, in case if you have any failure is there, okay, any error is there in middle of the program, okay, from starting to ending each and every line we have to check it. It is too much complex. At the same time, see, every time, so unnecessarily also, just you have to execute that entire the program. If you have any modifications, if you have any modifications at that time, so it will disturb the code. Okay, based on your logic, you have to again you have to modify that entire the code. It is impact on the rest of the program. Okay, so that's why it is too much complex to write that entire the code in a single program. So that's why see, simply we are dividing that entire the program into entire the thousands of lines of program. We are dividing into sub programs. Okay, each and every sub program, see, having that specific code based on the requirement, the specific sub program only we are executing. Okay, that means, so if you want to handle that errors, for example, if you got error in the one sub program, it is we won't get that any impact on the rest of the program. Okay, rest of the program. See, at that time, so error handling is easy, and then debugging is easy, and then see, in case if you have any modifications, future in future you have any modifications, then so we can easy to handle it. Okay, that's why we are using that functions concept in C language. Simply, I will say that, see, I have a thousands of lines of program. That program, so simply we are dividing into the small parts. Each and every part, just we are going to maintain in a separate subprogram. Okay, by using that functions concept. Okay, right now the same we are just achieve it in this invoke workflow file activity. I will show you. Okay, see, this activity very frequently we are using in process implementation. Okay, I will show you. Go to that UiPath Studio. Go to that UiPath Studio. See, right now, click on the transactional process. Invoke workflow file activity 1. Click on that open main workflow. Click on that open main workflow. Remove this flowchart. Drag a sequence. Set as start node. Okay, set as start node. Right click, set as start node. Okay, see, observe this one. Go to the project panel. So see, this project name is called as Invoke Workflow File Activity 1. Okay, how many workflows are there? Only one workflow right now, because just now I created this workflow file. Okay, just now I have created this project, so that's why in this one I have here only one workflow file. Okay, here observe this one, main.xaml. So this workflow file extension is called as XAML. The pronunciation is called as XAML. See, in this project I have only one workflow file. Okay, right now, so in this workflow file, simply I want to drag one message box. I want to drag one message box. Observe this one. I want to display the name is called as main workflow. Simply display that name is called as main workflow. Okay, right now, click here, click on that flowchart or sequence, anyone, no worry. See, I want to see in my project, I have only one workflow file, but based on my requirement, I want to create one more workflow file. So if you want to create one more workflow file, click on that new and click on that flowchart. See, this time I want to give that name is called as sub workflow. So click on that create. Observe this one. Go to the project panel. Here, how many workflows right now? We have two workflows. One is the main workflow, another one is another workflow. One workflow name is called as main, another workflow name is called as sub workflow. Okay, two workflow files are there. See, in the main workflow already I have taken one sequence and just I have used that message box. By using that, just I'm displaying that message is main workflow. I will go to the sub workflow, drag a sequence, set as start node, drag a message box. Here I want to display the message is called as sub workflow. Sub workflow. Okay. In, in another workflow also, just I have displayed the message is sub workflow. See, if you want to change that workflow file names, you can change it, no worry. So right click, rename the file name. Okay, rename the workflow file name. Just I want to give that name is called as sub. Okay, given that name is called as sub. Observe this. See, here I have a two workflow files. One is the main workflow file and another one is one workflow file name is called sub workflow. In both two workflows, I have a message boxes. One message box in main workflow and another message box in another workflow. Okay. So right now, just I have selected that main workflow. Click on the debug. See, observe this one. Click on that OK. I have selected main workflow, okay, and executed the process. Then main workflow only executed. So select that sub workflow. Again, click on the debug. That sub workflow only it will execute it. Sub workflow only execute it. Observe this. Both the main and sub both are in one project. Both main and sub two workflows are in only one project. But if I select main workflow and execute that one, then main workflow only executed. If I select that sub workflow and try to execute, and sub workflow only executed. Okay, see, observe this one. So that means here both are individual workflows. Okay, okay, both are in same project, but both two are separate workflow files. Main workflow having that one logic and sub workflow is having that another logic. See, once if I execute that main only executing, and once if I execute that sub workflow only executing, that they're individually executing. Okay, but I want to integrate both of them by using invoke workflow file is the activity. Okay, see, observe this one. In this main workflow, I want to take one activity is called as invoke workflow. Invoke workflow file is the activity. Drag and drop. So invoke workflow file activity. Drag and drop. See, observe this one. Here we have a browse for file. So right now I am in main workflow. Click on that browse for file. Select that sub. Click on that open. Okay, see, again I will try to execute. If I try to execute the main workflow, automatically the main workflow will call that sub workflow. Automatically the main workflow will call that sub workflow, because here we have a invoke workflow file is the activity. By using this invoke workflow file activity, see, by using this invoke workflow file activity, so it is calling that sub workflow. So I will check it whether it is successfully called that sub workflow or not. See, click on the debug. See, first executed that first message box. After that, it is calling that sub workflow. Sub workflow displayed that message. See, observe this one. Click on the debug from main. Main is calling. See, click on that OK. The main, see, the main workflow is calling that sub workflow. So that's why, see, sub workflow also executed successfully. See, observe this one. So invoke workflow file activity always call one workflow to another workflow. That's why we are using that invoke workflow file activity. Right now, the invoke workflow file activity is in main workflow file. So that's why, and it is calling that sub workflow. Okay. So, and in that main workflow file activity, I have selected the sub.xaml. So that's why it's calling that one. So in previous execution, if I execute that main only executed, and if I execute that sub only executed. But right now, so I have invoke workflow file activity used in main workflow and then selected the sub workflow. So that's why if I execute that main, automatically call that sub workflow. So right now, do you have any doubt here?
సార్
Yes.
ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ సబ్ వర్క్ ఫ్లో తీసుకున్నారు కదా సార్ మెయిన్ వర్క్ ఫ్లోలోకి వెళ్ళి
Mm-hmm.
దాని ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ ఇప్పుడు సబ్ వర్క్ ఫ్లో తీసుకున్నారు మెయిన్ వర్క్ ఫ్లోకి వెళ్ళి మళ్ళీ దాని తర్వాత ఇప్పుడు సబ్ దాంట్లోకి వెళ్ళి మళ్ళీ మెయిన్ తీసుకోవాలా?
ఇంకొక 2 ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఉన్నాయి, అయిపోయిన తర్వాత చెప్తాను. ఓకేనా?
ఓకే, నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఓకే.
See, right now I have explained that invoke workflow file activity. So, but in this project, I have only 2 workflow files, right? Just I want to explain that one more example. See, click on the transactional process. See, invoke workflow file 2. Go to the F drive. Click on that create. Click on that open main workflow. Drag a sequence. See, observe this one. I have one workflow file. This is main workflow. Okay. First workflow file. I want to create 2 more workflow files. Click on that flowchart. Sub 1. Sorry. Sub 1. I want to create one more. See. Click here. Click on the flowchart. Sub 2. Click on that create. See, in my project, I have 3 workflow files. One is the main workflow, another one is sub 1, sub 2. Overall, 3 workflow files are there. Okay, see, observe this one. First, I will go to that main workflow. In this main workflow, already I have taken sequence. See, here, I want to drag one message box. Okay. This is the main workflow. Okay. Again, I will go to the sub workflow one. In this one also, I want to drag a sequence. Set as start node. Right now, I want to drag one more workflow as a message box. See here, sub workflow 1. Okay, sub workflow 1. Go to the sub workflow 2. See, here also I want to drag one more message box. Right now, sub workflow 2. Observe this one. All are individual workflows, right? But all are in same project. Okay. So right now, I want to drag one invoke workflow file activity. I will call that sub workflow 1. Click here, sub workflow 1. Okay, observe this one. See, right now, the main workflow contains invoke workflow file activity. So if I execute, the main workflow will call that sub workflow 1. Okay, this main workflow will be called that sub workflow 1. Again, I will go to the sub workflow 1. In the sub workflow 1, I will take one more invoke workflow file activity. I will call that another sub workflow. Okay, so click here and select that sub workflow 2. Click on that open. Observe this one. See, observe this. The sub workflow 1 is calling that sub workflow 2. That means the sub workflow 1 is the main to sub workflow 2, because in sub workflow 1 contains that invoke workflow file activity. It is calling that sub workflow 2. And the same way, go to that main. The main workflow is the main to that sub workflow 1, because it is calling, the main is calling sub workflow 1. So right now, if I select that main workflow, if I start my execution from the main itself, first it will call that main workflow will call that sub workflow 1, and sub workflow will call that sub workflow 2. After completion of that, so it will be written back to that sub 1 to main. It will be written back it. Observe this one. So all of these workflow files are so integrated with one with another one. So that's why, so it is calling that one workflow to another workflow. Right now, click on the debug. See, executed from main. So first display that main workflow message, and then call that sub workflow 1, display the message is sub workflow 1, and then it is calling that sub workflow 2, and then it is displayed the message is called as sub workflow 2. Okay, so like we can create n number of workflows. We can create one number of workflow, n number of workflows, and we can call one with another one. There is no limit for that. Okay, do you have any doubt right now?
No, sir.
See, I want to show you one more example. See, like observe this one. So main is calling sub 1 is calling that sub 2. That means, see, main is the grandparent, and then sub 1 is the parent, and then sub 2 is the child. Like we can form that link. Okay, one by one, we call one workflow to another workflow. Okay, see, I will go to that home. I want to create new workflow right now. Invoke workflow file 3. Click on that open main workflow. See, I want to remove the flowchart. Delete the flowchart. See, observe this one. I want to create two more workflow files. Sub 1, and sub2. Okay, observe this one. So drag a sequence in main workflow and set as start node. See, drag the message box, simply main workflow. Go to that sub one, drag a sequence, set as start node, drag a message box, sub workflow 1, drag a sequence, set as start node, sub workflow 2. Observe this one. So I have selected that main workflow. In this main workflow, I want to take two invoke workflow file activities. Okay. So I will call that all the sub workflows from that main workflow itself. Previously, I have called one workflow to another workflow, that workflow to another workflow, like I have called. Right now, all the workflows, I want to call it from main itself. That means main is the parent and rest of one is called as sub one, sub two are the childs to that main. Okay, observe this. Click here, select that sub workflow one, click here, select that sub workflow 2, click on that open. Observe this. Invoke workflow file activity, I have selected that sub workflow 1 and sub workflow 2. See, from main itself, first it will call. So right now, I want to show you that execution. Click on the debug. See, executed that message box. Immediately from main itself, it will call that sub workflow. In that sub workflow, what are the message box is displayed, and just you have to click on that. Again, come back to that main workflow and call that another sub workflow. Okay, so see, sub workflow 2 called, and then again come back to the main workflow. Okay, that means from main workflow itself, we can call so n number of other workflow files by using invoke workflow file is the activity. Do you have any doubts right now? Abhinav?
No, sir.
Okay, so someone asked the doubt previously. Is that Praveen?
Yes, sir.
ఏముంది డౌట్
Okay,
ఏమైనా
sir.
ఉందా? క్లియర్ అయిందా అది?
ఇంతకుముందు సబ్ వన్ క్లియర్ అయింది సార్. ఇప్పుడు క్లియర్ అయింది.
Okay, okay. Rest of the people, do you have any doubts?
In case of message box, we can use right line activity.
We can use that right line activity, no worry. Just once if I use that message box, then it is very easy to identify. That's why only just I have used it. Okay, message box. See, observe this one. In these sub programs, so we are implementing in the sub workflows, we are implementing that. So your business logic. So based on your requirement, just we are going to integrating them. See, once if they give that any project, first of all, we have to divide that entire the project into sub modules. Okay, that means we have to divide that entire project into small modules, and each and every small module, that means sub module, we have to separately implement in separate workflow file. Okay, first separately dividing and then implementing in separate workflow file, and finally we are integrating them by using invoke workflow file is the activity. Clear?
Okay, sir.
This invoke workflow file activities so never leave you. Okay, so in every process implementation regularly we are using that invoke workflow file activity, and they will ask you interview point of view, they will ask you how to see just here I will write this one. Okay, how can you call, sorry, one workflow to another workflow? Simply the answer is called as invoke workflow file is the activity. Okay, by using that we are calling one workflow to another workflow. See, again they will ask few more questions also, but that I will explain again. Again same invoke workflow file activities again continue on Monday. Okay, because in between them we have to pass that values. So how to pass that values, how to return that values, I will explain on Monday. Okay, again we will get that few more interview questions on that. Okay, see, right now I want to give that few use cases. See, I think all of you remind that flow decision is the activity. I think you remind that flow decision is the activity, and then for each is the activity. Okay, all of you know about that for each activity, and then see, uh, you know about that how to create that files and folders. Okay, see, based on these three topics, I will give that use cases right now. See, first use case. Read an input date if the input date is greater than the current date, read an input date if the input date is greater than the current date, display message is continue business process. If the condition is false, print a message is print a message is sorry, if the condition is false, retry it. See, please read this use case. Please use this, read that use case and tell me how many inputs are in that use case. Sai Tangella.
Yes, sir.
ఎన్ని ఇన్పుట్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇందులో?
2 inputs, sir.
వాట్ ఏది?
2, sir.
అవునా? ఓకే, ఏమంటది?
Present ది past ది తీసుకోండి సార్.
ఏంటది?
Present date ని past date, sir.
ఓకే ఓకే.
Yeah.
అభినవ్.
Sir, one will be the input date and other will be the current date. We will pick the current date of the system by using now.
Observe one. So how many inputs are there? Please tell me. Use whatever you said that is correct. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Sir, 2 inputs.
yeah, how many direct inputs? How many indirect inputs?
Sir, one direct input and other will be indirect input.
Right. See, by using input dialog box, we are taking that one input, and then by using that now, we are reading that another input by using that system itself, right? Current date purpose, no need to create separate variable, but our own input purpose, just we have to take that one, create a variable and then read that input date. Clear? Okay, this is the first use case right now. See, here in the second use case, read two input dates. So one is called as a from date, another one is called as a to date. Okay, two, just we are taking the two input dates. Okay, see, from date always less than the to date and current date. From date always less than the to date and current date. And to date always greater than the from date and less than the current date. Okay, if all the conditions is true, okay, all conditions are satisfied, so simply display the message is called as continue business process. If the condition is false, okay, so if the condition is false, okay, see, simply retry the process. Simply retry the process. How many inputs are there? Chandu, Nag.
3 inputs, sir.
Under any direct, any indirect?
2 direct, sir, 1 indirect.
Okay. What are the activities we have to use it in this use case?
If use చేస్తాం.
Okay.
Condition, if condition.
Praveen. మీరు ఈ రోజు నుంచే ప్రాక్టీస్ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారు కదా?
అవును సార్.
ఓకే 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 రైట్ రైట్. సి మేడం నిత్య.
Yes, sir.
So what are the use cases we have to use it in this second use case? What are the activities?
If condition use.
Okay.
To read
first, read that entire the use case, and then please tell me what are the activities required.
Okay.
Just you people take 2 minutes time, no worry. I will ask all of you. Okay.
First, we should create variables for.
నాకు యాక్టివిటీస్ ఒకటే చెప్పండి మేడం, ఓన్లీ యాక్టివిటీస్.
For
ఒక్కసారి వెనక్కి బాగా మనకు ఓల్డ్ టాపిక్స్కి వెళ్ళాలి మీరు.
First we will take input.
No problem. Just. Maunik Srekar. Okay. See.
Sir.
దీనిలో ఏ యాక్టివిటీస్ వాడదావు?
Hello.
What are the activities you have to use it in second use case? Okay. See, Abhinav, please tell me.
Sir, we will take 2 dates and pick the current date by using now.
Only activity names only. Please tell me activity names.
So, we will use if condition.
Okay. I think you
send message out.
Properly didn't read that use case. Okay. Observe this one. See,
we have to take two inputs, sir.
See here.
Input dialog box.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Read two input dates. One is the from date and to date. Okay. So this time we will take that input dialog boxes. Okay. So leave it. Next activity, once, okay, we are applying the conditions. Okay. I'm saying that if all the conditions is true, display the messages continue business process. Okay. And if any condition is fail, simply retry the process. Retry in the sense, go back and again ask the input. How can you go back?
By flow decision.
By using flow decision is the activity. Okay, by using flow decision is the activity. See, observe this one. The UA path is very easy. Okay, so but you people try to understand the use case first, and then so what exactly the inputs. Okay, and for the inputs, that inputs is coming from which application. That means how we are getting that inputs. That means okay, runtime lo తీసుకోవాలి. Okay, I am taking that input at runtime. So right now I don't know any other topic. So that's why runtime, how can we take that? By using input dialog box. Okay, see, and condition. If it is the normal, then we can use that if activity. But I said that retry in the sense, in case, okay, if the conditions is wrong, I have to go back and then again take the input and then come back up to the condition is true. Retry in the sense, already executed one, we can execute it, repeat it, okay, based on the condition. But if you go to that if activity, it's not possible, right? Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
See, first, once if you read that use case properly, immediately you will get an idea what exactly the inputs, what exactly the activities is needed, and then so everything you can able to understand. But automatically, you people only started right now the practice, so that's why automatically you will get it. No worry about this one. Okay. See, whether it is correct or wrong, just you people, you follow your own way and do it practice. Okay, I will correct that one. Okay, again, tomorrow also we have a class, right? So that means only the doubt session. I think already told all of you. And if you people are okay for that, then anyone having the doubts, then you can join in that one. There is no proper class, only the doubt class only. See, uh, just I want to give that one more simple use case. Okay, by the files. Okay, see, create a file, comma folder with current date and move file into that folder. So last time also we have done this use case, but right now create a file and folder with create file comma folder with current date. That means take that sample is the name. For that sample name, you have to add that date. System date, you have to add it. Okay. And then folder also we have to create same like that and simply move that file into that folder. Actually, previously, last class I have explained, in separately I have implemented. Okay, creating the file with current date, creating the folder with current date. But I didn't move the file. Okay. Right now, you people move the file. So your file is having that name with current date. Your folder is also having the name with current date. Okay. See, both you have to move it. Okay. Just you people try it. See, all of these activities in the third use case, all of these activities you have to use it in same workflow file. Okay. So first create file activity. After that, take that folder activity and then take that move file activity. I will show you your use case tomorrow. Okay, these 3 use cases, I will see all of your use cases. Okay, simply I will ask you to share your screen, then you people have to show it. Okay, any queries?